Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
Breaking news for you. A Fargo woman has to find another place to stay tonight after an apartment fire on 2nd Avenue North. The call came in around 8 p.m. Authorities say the fire was caused on the stovetop, but the heavy smoke damage was contained to that single apartment on the first floor. The Red Cross is working with the woman to find a place to stay. Officials say she is expected to be okay.
I can't be without a phone.
Upset, confused, and worried about the future. That's how some residents in a North Fargo apartment building feel after not having access to a phone in almost 2 weeks. And what's more, they need to have a phone line for Lifeline, which they use for emergency medical help. So they reached out to our whistleblower hotline. Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer investigates and talks with a man who couldn't get help after suffering a seizure.
I'm just kind of worried, because what if someone tries to call me and they can't get through?
It's a problem Gene Moser and other residents in the New Horizons Manor apartment have been dealing with for almost 2 weeks now. They tell us their phones aren't working, and it's especially bad for people like Jack Hoffert who rely on Lifeline.
I fell, I had a seizure, and I tried pushing my Lifeline, and I couldn't get no response.
Hoffert has been living in the building for over 2 decades now, but he says last week was scary. He didn't know what to do when he pushed his Lifeline and couldn't get help.
I braced myself till I got up, and then I looked for help.
Fortunately, Hoffert is okay now. He tells us seizures are nothing new to him.
I have been having seizures since I was 3.
But now he's worried it could happen again before the phone line is back up and running.
Their personal cares, help them with the shopping.
And these concerns aren't falling on deaf ears. A caretaker we talked with who provides support for these residents is worried about that too. She says this has been going on for far too long.
A lot of our people in the building have lifelines, and without phone service, their lifelines are not available.
Until that line is fixed, this woman tells us they'll be watching residents extra carefully. And guess what? The phone isn't going to be fixed tomorrow or even Wednesday.
They said the earliest would be 10 or 11 o'clock on Friday night.
So for people like Moser and Hoffert, they're hoping they won't need medical help until then, and will be counting on the people who take care of them. In Fargo, Melanie Palmer, Valley News Live.
We also talked with someone from New Horizons Manor who says they are doing what they can, and the outage is through CenturyLink. And according to some of the residents we talked to in the building, not everyone is without phone service. The outage is sporadic. We reached out to CenturyLink to see the cause behind the outage and are waiting to hear back. If you need help with an issue in your community, call our whistleblower hotline, 237-6576. You can leave your tip, and then a member of our investigative team will get on the case and go to work to expose the truth. We've been telling you how city and county leaders are gearing up for a spring flood fight, and Cass County is no different. Tonight, Cass County leaders called a meeting to talk about expectations for the rural parts of the county and what's being done now to protect those areas. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly was at the meeting and joins us in studio with more. Katie?
Andrea, tonight's meeting in Hickson, North Dakota was all about flooding predictions and preparation for rural Cass County. Several experts from the county gathered to discuss with citizens what the flooding potential looks like. Cass County engineer Jason Benson said there are 2 different flood fights for rural residents. One is from the tributary rivers and the other is from the Red River. He says there are certain areas to be concerned about, especially around the tributary rivers.
In the area north of West Fargo up through Harwood and Argusville, we know there's going to be very serious flooding at or near the 2009 and 2011 flood levels.
Benson also said the time to prepare is now in order to prevent incidents similar to the flooding in southern South Dakota and Nebraska. County leaders suggest following a few simple steps if you have a rural address. They ask you to check the Cass County website for potential water levels in your area. Once you have established the potential risk for your area, you'll have a better idea whether you need sandbags. The county is asking for volunteers to build 300,000 sandbags so they can be used for people in need. You should make sure you have equipment ready, such as sump pumps and generators. They also suggest having gas cans, propane, and other emergency items in case you can't leave your home. They also want you to sign up for Code Red System. This will alert you to any major concerns or information you need to know. They say it's all about being prepared for the worst and ensuring everyone is informed. Andrea?
All right, thank you, Katie. We have links to resources regarding rural flooding on our website, valleynewslive.com. Starting bright and early tomorrow morning, the city of Fargo is beginning its efforts to make 1 million sandbags in preparation for spring flooding. The goal is to have 200 volunteers at any given time to properly run the operation in order to make about 100,000 sandbags each day. But Fargo still desperately needs volunteers. You can find out more information on the City of Fargo website, or you can call Fargo Sandbags Central, the hotline 701-476-4000. We will be live from Sandbags Central tomorrow morning as the process begins, and we'll bring you more information. A 7-year-old boy has been declared brain dead, and his 5-year-old brother is clinging to life after a crash in Fargo on Saturday night. It happened at the intersection of University and 13th Avenue South in Fargo. Witnesses pulled the younger boy out before rescuers arrived and performed CPR. Firefighters then got the older boy out. The boy's father, 31-year-old Christopher Devine of Fargo, is now charged with driving under the influence. He and a front seat passenger are in the hospital. The boy's mother confirmed with Valley News Live what is found on a GoFundMe page, that the older brother, Jason, is brain dead, and the younger boy, Brandon, is still fighting for his life. Norwegian officials are investigating why a cruise ship carrying more than 1,300 people set sail despite storm warnings, forcing crews to issue a mayday call and evacuate the ship. There was a Minnesota couple on board that cruise, and they spoke about their terrifying moments with Heidi Wigdahl.
As the Viking Sky went side to side, it took the furniture and people with it.
Some of them are getting to be like 40 feet.
Stormy weather led to engine failure and a stranded ship off Norway's western coast.
And I got to the hotel room and I took my boots off. I had glass inside my boots.
Judy Lemieux and Rodney Horgan of Deer River, Minnesota spoke with us Sunday from their hotel room.
That's the Viking.
The ship just outside their window.
Well, this has been a trip. It was a surprise present from my wife, kind of a dream vacation.
But Saturday, the ship sent a distress signal. Rodney and Judy were on the 7th floor when it started.
It started listing or started going, swaying side to side, and almost to the point where it felt like a little more it would tip over. People would get knocked over, dishes all over. That was the beginning.
I think that's probably now, as we look back, when the engines had failed.
They went back to their room, but evacuation orders brought them to the 2nd floor of the ship. Rodney was standing and Judy sitting when 6 to 7 feet of water came rushing in.
Like a window or door broke, and it just come rushing in and crashing. 15, 20 people, bunch of chairs, tables come just rushing in at us. It swept my wife away. I grabbed onto her, but I could not hang on to her because it's just too much power.
Kind of a say your prayers time. Yeah, that was probably, I would have to say, probably one of the worst moments in my life. Because as you're being swished by the water and that water's coming in and then you're swished back the other way. And, it was very scary at that point in time.
Wasn't able to grab her yet. And then on the way back, she came and then I was able to grab her just before a chair was just whipping right at her. She saw it. She screamed.
They moved to a new part of the ship and then waited.
It was very, very slow, and waiting was hard. With that came lots of time to pray.
What did it feel like when you finally realized you were getting off the ship?
I looked up and saw that helicopter. And it was just stationary. They know what they're doing. This is going to be okay.
The ride up, though, took your breath away, blowing in the wind and swirling and in the dark. When you felt somebody grab you and pull you onto the floor of that helicopter, it was like, thank you.
Helicopters rescued 479 passengers. The rest were later taken to a nearby port.
How are you guys feeling today just after going through all of this?
Grateful.
Yeah. Just grateful.
From the people on the ship to the helicopter people to the people that welcomed us.
We're very lucky to be blessed with people in the world like that still.
That was Heidi Wigdahl reporting. The North Dakota legislature is pulling back on gaming bills, rejecting another one, while also passing a study to look at the issue. The Senate wants to study how to properly expand gaming and whether voters in the state should have a say. Another concern, who runs the program.
That if we're going to have horse or sports betting in the state, it should not be tied to charities, but should be run either by the tribal casinos or like the lottery ticket is in North Dakota.
North Dakota's legislature also made major additions to the state's medical marijuana program for 2019, but edible marijuana products will not be included. The Senate fell 3 votes shy of approving the program. Under the bill, the Department of Health would have been able to decide what products would be allowed and how much a person could buy. 3 other bills passed last week that would increase access to the program.